Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to a live edition of Health Wealth. And sorry I've been away. I've been away to Dubai and Pakistan looking at the projects, and I am back here today. And the weather here is very nice. I heard it was snowing and very drizzly, but today is a fantastic day. And as you know, Health Wealth, we are here to educate you. And what is health? And what is wealth? And what is money? Because people always are thinking, you know, health is this and health is that and wealth is this and wealth is that. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the mysteries and then define what it is. So I have two great, fantastic guests here who are going to help us unravel what is health, what is wealth, and what is money. So, my first guest, Mark Pope, welcome to Health Wealth and IQRA TV. Lovely to see you and thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, really excited to be here. Thank you.
Great. Now, my next guest, now I'm always getting his name wrong and unfortunately, and always mispronouncing. So I will try to get it right, and if I get it wrong, please excuse me and then correct me.
No problem at all. It happens every day.
Kamil Vavazisco.
Yeah, almost, very close. Yeah, well done.
Almost,
well done, Tamkin.
I tried.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
I'm really excited. I think that's the best way to say. And just for the record, so my name is Kamil Wawrzyszko.
Wawrzyszko.
Yes.
Ah, almost got it.
And I always add K. I mean, recently I started added Kamil K Wawrzyszko.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, so thank you for introducing me.
Like Ron G. Holland.
Yes, something
so he's
like
added a G.
Yeah, he added the G. But my K actually stands for my second name, which I don't really use. But
go on, tell us what it is. We don't mind.
My second name is Krzysztof.
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 Oh, right.
It's like
I'm not even going to go there.
Oh, come on! It's like Christopher. It's like Christopher. It's like Christopher. Yeah.
Right. Okay, we're going to start off with talking about health because it's called Health Wealth.
Yep.
Now, Mark, you got into health a few years ago, and you did something very, very noble, as I understand it. And you were actually looking at people's eyesight and giving the gift of sight back.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
It was after so many years in the construction industry and conventional business, I wanted to apply my mind to stuff and really be in a position of giving back. And I read a testimony of a 79-year-old lady in Middlesex that had cataracts in both eyes.
Okay.
And she'd discovered through her family an eye drop, a natural eye drop that actually eradicated and melted away cataracts.
Right.
And I read this testimony, and like within 7 weeks she'd had this amazing results, and now that she was beginning to see her family members again. And my partner and I, we went off and sort of to see the founder of the company to see about donating these eye drops out to developing countries around the world because, wow, the impact on just one child, the parents, the brothers, the sisters, the friends, just huge.
The gift of sight.
The gift of sight.
Much.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, dedicated a lot of years to that and then realised sort of the depth and the severity of the big pharma industry and the laser eye industry, and it's not an easy journey. So that's a work in progress, and looking to get you on board as to moving these eye drops.
Yes, we do cataracts operations in
yeah.
Africa and Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, third world countries. But it'd be nice to have a look at those eye drops. No problem.
Yeah.
You know? And Kamil.
Yes.
Health.
Health.
Now, a little birdie tells me you are into fitness as well and some sort of ancient arts.
Yes, well, I practice Wing Chun, which is a...
Why are all these difficult names? Why Wing Chun?
It's not my fault that they gave it this name. It's a Chinese martial arts, or Kung Fu in short.
Right.
So it's a close quarter combat. And yeah, so fitness is important to me, and health and my body. I'm not a fanatic, but obviously I take it seriously. And so health is a very generic concept. And as you mentioned before at the beginning, many people do not realize what health is. And health is not a state of kind of that it's like one state I'm healthy and this is not healthy. Health is something dynamic, changes all the time. And it just shifts from one state to another. And I think this is important to understand, that it's not just like this is perfect health, this is not perfect health, because perfect health can have lots of forms, and Well, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
No, I fully understand that. And then also, headaches. You have helped people with their headaches as well, naturally.
oh yes, yes. I've learned this method. I was doing this personal training with one organization, and they had this method of reducing people's headaches, and I made a video about this, and I put it on my YouTube channel. And now it's one of my most popular videos. And in 2 minutes, it gets rid of people's headaches in most cases. Some people say, no, it didn't work, but most comments I get is like, oh my God, I cannot believe I had a strong headache and it's gone. And many people say even help them with migraines, which I didn't think it would, but it does actually. And I have lots of comments from people saying, I had a strong migraine and it's gone now. And I'm thinking, whoa, that is incredible. So as you said, natural methods are so incredible, and it's all in the mind, as we discussed before.
Yes.
And I think Mark is in the mind power, you are in the mind power, and my mentor Ron G. Holland is a really big person.
And to have a good, healthy mind, also, it depends on the diet you eat, and try and eat as much fresh fruit and vegetables as you can, and
Absolutely.
take a lot of water if possible.
Yeah.
Have you found that helps for you as well, rather than cooked and processed food, and tinned and frozen and whatnot?
Yeah, I think my partner, she's been into health for many years. And there are so many things that we put into our diet that we can replace. Most of the white bleached foods need to be taken out.
Sugar, bread. I didn't even know sugar, bread and salt is bleached.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
of your white bleached foods are actually going to be bad for you, nutritionally dead, or actually going to be worse, harmful. So I think it's a case of looking and replacing some of these day-to-day usual things that we have. So replace your white sugar. Look at something like blackstrap molasses is a great sugar that actually has good things within it. But yeah, get rid of these white bleached foods. I think I found is one of the.
I've been abroad, and I saw some sugar cane while I was out there, and they were crushing it and drinking it. And I can tell you, I said, "Can I have a glass of sugar cane, fresh from the fields?" They did it. They crushed it. I had got it in a glass, and I tell you, I drank that, and suddenly, I felt revived.
Wow.
Never had that before.
Excellent.
Never had that before.
So what was it? Sugar cane?
Sugar cane, yeah.
Okay.
Fresh. Sugar cane, just a glass full.
Yeah, because it's not gone through all the processes and been processed into.
It was live. They cut it live, they skinned it, put it through this mangler and juice straight away, within seconds.
Wow.
And I felt the energy coming back in seconds.
Oh.
So fresh is great.
Fresh is good.
Incredible.
Yeah. Right, so we've touched on health, and I think most people understand all that, but a lot of people get confused with wealth and money, and I think if we concentrate on that today, what is money, what is currency, what's backing it, I think that might be a good idea. So, come on.
Me first?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, actually, I wanted
your take, and then we'll have Mark's take.
Okay, thank you very much, because I really wanted to talk about this.
Oh, excellent.
So money, as we know, has got different definitions, and I think banks and governments wanted us to believe that money is this piece of paper that we carry in our wallets, and we know it's not. It's just one of the representations of money. And money, historically, is something that can store value, and it's universal. So it was gold and silver, because it was very universal. Everybody understood that. And some time ago in the process, I think it was 1971 in the United States, they decided to disconnect the paper currency as we know it from the gold. So before, the paper currency was a receipt for a certain amount of gold and silver. And sorry, Mark, I know you wanted to talk about this, but I'm going to say it.
That's all right. That's
and now it's a receipt for nothing. So basically, governments are cheating us in a way, or I don't know how to say it. I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm going to be speaking a bit diplomatically. Our governments are basically taking our money away slowly and moving them from our pockets to the pockets of bank owners and other people who are very close to the printing press of the money. And because we don't see it, because it happens through years via inflation and many other mechanisms that are in the market, stock market, trading platforms, they simply take our wealth away and put our attention to somewhere else. They tell us the problem is this, the problem is that, but really the problem is somewhere else. And I think Mark would like to say actually where the problem is.
Yeah, I totally
Right,
agree.
no, I'll come on to that, because your analogy is very good with the water.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, over time anyway, with inflation, whatever you do, things are going to increase or decrease in value.
Uh-huh.
But your analogy of what money is and has been doing, the water analogy, is a very good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if I was to be storing my wealth in this cup and it had a hole in the bottom of it. It's leaking all the time. So this is our store of wealth, if you like. So we've got to keep it running in there to keep it going. But if we were to leave it to sit over enough time, eventually it would just become empty. And that's historically, and there's a great statement by Winston Churchill: the further we look into the past, the easier and the more we can see as we look into the future. And so if we look at what's gone on, and we're really in an age now where the first time we're going to know and see this information, because of the internet, we're now aware of the cycle of money that's going on. And currencies typically have a season, have a life cycle. And then when we understand what that life cycle is of a currency, that it eventually depletes and it works back to its real value of being nothing. So our water would just drain away over time because of, like Kamil says, the inflation is it's really a theft in disguise going on that is just taking from us all of the time. So we need to store our wealth in something that beats inflation, that has an historical time, again, as Kamil said, a store of wealth.
Yes, in the old days, as I remember you saying at some of your talks that I've been to, that in the old days you had your gold and silver, and you would give it to the blacksmith, would give you
the goldsmith,
would give you a promissory note.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how that worked. And
yeah, it's a great analogy. Our ancestors, our great ancestors, our great grandparents, they went to the goldsmiths, and we realised we don't want to be walking around with bags of silver and bags of gold. So we would deposit our gold and our silver at the banks, and he would give you a piece of paper, a promise to pay, and there would be, like Kamil said, a direct correlation between
the amount of gold or silver you gave him.
The deposits. And this is, and actually what happened where fractional reserve banking, without getting in, we're not economists, but we know to understand the basics, the goldsmith or the banker of that day would go, do you know what, people don't come and collect their gold
every day or
whenever. I could actually lend out more IOUs, and this is how fractional reserve banking started. And so they're lending it out. And then through time, like Kamil says, in the US last year, they've unhinged. There's not a direct correlation between that piece of paper.
Not last year, 1971.
Sorry, in 1971.
Tricky Dick Nixon, President Nixon.
As our great friend says.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Kiyosaki, I mean, great education and great knowledge putting out there, letting people know how it all works. But there's no correlation between our piece of paper anymore. If we take a £20 note to the bank, what do we get? We get £20 of what? There is no weighted measure of value against it anymore. So, and that's where the problem starts. Once you unhinge a currency from a metal and it's backed by nothing, the problems begin. And
as you know, before it was linked to the gold and silver, and actually on the actual notes, on the £20, £10 note, it would say we promise to give the bearer the amount of so much in silver or gold. And that is completely gone now.
That's completely gone. And this is how, and this is what allows the banks then to just print and print and print and print and print. And I think most of us are aware of the story of Germany after the First World War. The Germans, such a bad economy, thinking, well, the only way we can keep this running is we need to print more money. So they unhinged it from precious metals and print and print and print away. And we know the story of a wheelbarrow full of cash to go and get a loaf of bread. And most people know that story.
Now you've got an actual note to show us as well, haven't you? What happened?
So the example of Zimbabwe, and I think many people actually have heard about this because when it happened, 2008,
2007 and 2008.
From $1, then they went to $100 trillion bills, and I happen to have one bill which is only $10 billion. So I'm only
10 billion.
Yeah, 10 billion. So I'm very poor. I am only a billionaire, and we have a friend who actually has got $100 trillion bill. So he's a trillionaire. So we are really poor in comparison with him. So
so what can you buy with this?
Nothing. It didn't even go into circulation.
It didn't go into circulation. I think probably you could get £1 or £2 for this, just as a kind of a memory thing. So
so how many noughts is that on there? And it's got one, and how many noughts is that?
So let me see. So it's 9, 10.
So it's 1 with 10 noughts
10
after it.
zeros, yes.
10
and obviously,
zeros after it.
we need to add 4 more zeros for $100 trillion dollar bill.
Gosh. Because a million is 6 noughts, and
Yeah.
this is 10 noughts after the
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Gosh.
So 10 billion.
So if you keep printing and printing and printing, this is what happens. Eventually, it's worthless.
It sends the
It's
piece,
worthless.
sends it
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
what it really is, and that's a piece of paper. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, we really do somehow need to go back to gold or silver.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in the times of our prophet, when there wasn't any gold or silver, they used to do it with dates or wheat.
Yeah, yeah, there's
something
always been something
tangible.
that, yeah,
Yes,
something
yes.
of real
Commodity.
value. Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
So,
Well-
so that is another way. As long as it has a value and you can exchange it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or animals. People used to exchange animals.
That's
I'll give you 3 goats for your horse or
Yes,
something
right.
like this.
Yes, yes. Bartering system, but with something tangible.
Absolutely.
But now the Federal Reserve and other banks are just, the government wants money, so they go to the Federal Reserve or the banks and say, look, we need so many billion. They say, no problem, we'll print it, sign here,
Yeah.
and we'll print the money and you can have it.
Yeah,
We'll
this is
lend it
true.
to
We'll
you
lend it to
at
you.
interest.
At interest.
this
That's
and
the-
interest is bad.
Yeah, yeah, we've spoken about this.
Interest is
Oh,
Yeah.
very bad. I want to just interrupt you for
Yeah.
a short moment. Not money, currency.
Absolutely.
It's not money. Our paper currency is not money. The
Yes,
governments and banks want us to believe that this
currency.
is money, but it's only currency. It's piece of
And
paper.
it's fiat currency.
Which
That's
means
another word, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
It's,
Backed
so it's
by
not money,
nothing.
it's currency and it's fiat.
Yeah, yeah. Fiat
Yeah, no-
currencies means backed by nothing.
By nothing,
Backed
yes.
by nothing is fiat.
Yeah.
Yes, not by silver, like I have a nice silver coin in my hand, so it's 1 ounce silver. So there is no currency that I'm aware of that it's backed by silver at the moment. Maybe there are, I'm not an expert, so maybe there are, I don't know. So the currency, shall we show actually examples of currency that we have on the
yeah,
table?
I mean,
or-
this is a great analogy, and it ties in so sort of ironically to
Yes.
what I did obviously years ago, getting permission to do this. But when we sort of do these presentations, we say, what is this? And it's
Well, it's a piece of paper.
a piece of paper. And if I turn it around, is that
Oh my God, it's currency now.
but it's still a piece of paper,
It's
isn't
printed
it?
paper
It's
now.
printed paper, okay. And then we sort of, whether it's euros or whether it's pounds, we still come to this point, even when we bring it down to single notes. It's still a piece of paper. It hasn't, you can't
Yeah,
take...
but you're not allowed to print that because
I am allowed to print that because I got permission. I sought permission back in 2000. It's such an ironic story. I got permission from the Bank of England and from the European Central Bank to print these so that they could actually be used as flyers.
oh, okay.
And so obviously it's a number of years ago, and then now where I'm at and I'm really understanding where paper money is and currencies, it's kind of ironic now that we're going to be using these as a demonstration, as a flyer for people going, bang, this piece of paper is worth.
If I saw that on the floor, I would
You know
definitely
you're gonna
pick it up.
Pick it up. Human nature, that was the whole
Yeah.
point behind it.
Okay.
I've got more.
You've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that.
No.
So it's
No,
just...
I'll tell you the truth. I nicked it from Mark.
2, 4, 6, 80 quid there and there. £100, yeah?
£100, there you
That's
go.
my fee for a minute.
It's
But it's currency.
Yeah,
It's
so
currency.
unfortunately, it's
which-
not worth as much as we thought.
it's a
Yeah.
receipt for nothing.
Yeah.
It's a receipt for nothing.
So how can we turn this around then? So can we exchange our worthless paper for something better? Something that we can hold and keep?
yeah.
I think right now the fact that there are, I made reference to our ancestors handing in their silver years and years ago, or however many generations back it was. And if we say we can imagine that gold and that silver is actually stored in the central banks around the world. And at this moment in time, we can still send, if I take this to the bank,
Yeah.
I can get, and I ask for £20 of, I'm going to get £20 back of the same,
Yeah.
nothing different. But there are places around the world where we can still send our currency. I call this Mickey Mouse money.
Right.
We can send our currencies off, and they'll send us back, really, the silver and the gold that was, I see it as our ancestors' gold and silver. So I'm sending them back their funny money, which they've debased through time, and I'm now getting back the gold and silver that was stored by
That's
my
a very
great
good
ancestors.
idea.
Yeah, so my suggestion, especially what we're seeing in the banking crisis, I don't call it a banking crisis, I think it's a wealth heist that's going on at the moment.
But what happened in Cyprus? I still can't get my head around
yeah.
how they can just take people's money out of the banks.
Well, I think...
Well, currency, let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Currency is out of the banks.
Yeah.
And digits.
Well, I think we're going to come back to a word that
Yeah.
we spoke about, usury.
Right.
We need to understand
Yes.
why usury is such a bad thing. The lending of money at excessive interest is outlawed in so many countries, as we know.
And religions, even
and religions.
Christians
And there's
Muslims,
a reason why.
yeah.
Because if there's a man charging interest at the top, eventually all the money will flow to that man's direction.
Right.
So if we see that the central banks, we use the Federal Reserve, they're printing and printing money, then they're lending it to the American government at interest. Well, if they lend out this £80, they want more than £80 back, don't they?
Yes.
So they've got to lend you a bit more money
Right.
to get, so we could create this perpetual cycle. And this is why usury is such a bad thing. So we see all money flowing in one direction at this moment in time, which is not a good thing. So we need to break that cycle. So that's why it's just escalating and escalating and escalating. And we have to keep throwing more money at it to keep a system of debt. I would say, you know, the saying about money is the root of all evil? I don't think it's that. It's money as debt is the root of all evil. Money as a system of debt being perpetually growing and getting out of control. That's where the evil thing is within this whole monetary system.
Yeah, as long as the paper is backed up by something, it's when it's not
when
backed
it's not
up.
that the problems evolve.
And so what you are
absolutely.
doing and other people are doing and is exchanging, giving back and getting something tangible.
Absolutely.
But then when you sell that tangible asset, you're going to get paper back. That's change, aren't you?
Okay, well let's see
Yeah.
that if we see that money has a cycle, a currency has a cycle in life, and and usually when they start this new currency, they're going to base it on an amount of silver or an amount of gold. And so the wealthy, the uber rich, the governments around the world will know when to ditch their currency, move their money into their wealth, their store of wealth, into gold and silver. And then when this new currency comes out, these are the masters, these are the landowners, the dukes, the earls, the very wealthy, the elite that are aware of this information, and they'll be in a prime position.
I heard that there's a lot of banks are now buying silver and gold
absolutely.
reserves.
Absolutely, yes.
And they're not
Secretly.
and it's not little, it's millions and millions of tons. And
Yeah.
We've seen this article about HSBC recently have
Yes.
bought silver for almost $1 billion.
$1 billion of silver.
Yeah.
Why is the difference between silver and gold? Because in our culture, we always
think
use
gold.
gold and we hoard gold and we weddings, and if we want anything, we always exchange our money for gold jewelry mainly. So silver is the poor man's gold, is it?
It
Or
is.
what is it? What's the
It
difference
is.
between silver and gold then?
If we look at supply and demand as being where something gains its value,
Yes.
and you nailed it almost there within your own statement there and question, that gold is, most of the gold we've ever mined, it actually still sits on the surface.
Okay.
Most of it sits around in jewellery, it sits around in bank vaults. But the difference with silver is being consumed. It's not only has it been a money for thousands of years, a store of wealth for thousands of years, it's being consumed in all of our technologies, in our phones, in our lighting, in just so many things, iPods and all of this technology that's really growing rapidly in countries like China and India, all these sort of countries that are having this technology come on. So we're consuming silver in such small amounts that we're not going to actually get it back. So we're consuming, there's actually more gold, for the first time in history, there's more gold available for people to buy than there is silver available for people to buy. So we have a very rare commodity, and there are even reports out there that silver could be one of the first elements that we lose from our periodic table. Wow. And we have things like that. It costs more now to mine an ounce of silver and refine it and say to put it into a position of being in a coin. It costs more than the price is out there at this moment in time. So we have a very artificially suppressed price on silver right now for many different reasons, but it's the fact that it's a metal that we're consuming. It has something like 10,000 applications, and nothing can come even close to what it does for the cost. And that's the important thing, that we're using it so much.
So with silver, do they add other metals to it to make it expand more for industry?
I think in certain applications, yeah, because it has so many varied applications, that there will be things that we add it to help it as a conductor and all those kinds of things. But its purity as a metal, why it's being used in medicine even, yeah, so it has a vast uses, and it's its purity as an element of why it's becoming so valuable, why it is so valuable.
I also heard, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but people are now selling gold, getting the vast amount of money, and then converting it into silver?
I should imagine that probably is going on.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Hopefully they're not buying silver on paper, as some people do. They buy paper certificates or IOUs. I owe you 2 tons of silver, which doesn't exist.
Well, we're just going for a short break, and we'll see you on the other side. See you next time.